Hey guys, in today's video, you are going to be learning how to play the King's Gambit accepted variation. Now, in the previous video, we took a look at the declined variation, but you also need to know the accepted variation because it gets spicy from there. If you're a kid, if you're a player who does not like to go classical and closed with the decline, then this super sharp aggressive opening is for you. I will be telling you how to play optimally from white side and black side, and I'm going to share some tips and tricks in this famous opening, the King's Gambit. Accepted, not the decline. Okay, so it starts with our regular E4, E5 Best by Test by Bobby Fischer. Now we have something unexpected. A twist. A twist. What is this move? What is this move? It is just making this vulnerable king. Yeah, this queen is coming in for a dive. Well, fear not. There's a pawn here, and it's not that bad, but even though this pawn is kind of pinned, so wait, let me show you. So let's say the queen goes here. Okay, now you cannot play this right away because the queen's there. So but that's just a crazy line I unnecessarily got into. But the accepted variation goes like e takes f4. Now this is the King's Gambit accepted. Now what white should always do? It's not the only move, and Bobby Fischer has won many games with this move, the Bishop's Gambit. But I'm not necessarily really a fan of it because it weakens your king a little bit more, and black's king can go full attack on you because after all you gave up a flank pawn that could control all these invading squares. So yeah, there's only one risk in the King's Gambit accepted and playing the King's Gambit. If you're white, you weaken up your king. This king is not so safe. Okay, but I recommend you to always play knight f3 if you're white. Then g5, this is all the main line. Okay, now h4, we break it up, g4. Now there's this very crazy line where you go do this. Takes. You still don't. Well, after that, you take with this. And now if this happens, then you just castle and yeah, okay. Let me just show you. Okay, so bishop here. This is called the Australian Gambit, and I don't know why. Then you do this. After this knight comes in, now you castle. Now you might be saying, what kind of crazy gambit line is this? What have you done? Well, there's pressure. A lot of pressure on this weak pawn. And it's gonna die. And sometimes this opening does not work, and I don't recommend you to play it because yeah, that this just ruins it, and I honestly don't know what you're gonna do after that point, after this killer move, bishop d6, and Engine hates this, but again, that's an engine. So back to knight e5, the best move. Now, d6 might happen, d6. Now, you can do knight takes. Now you have to do knight takes g4 and reclaim your pawn. You have to reclaim your pawn, right? And then you'll get up a pawn because this pawn is also weak. So instead of d6, what black should have done is knight to f6, guarding and hanging on to this pawn. Well, not exactly, but in an indirect way, because after this, then this, if you try to pin, then we can just break the pin. Okay? So nothing bad will happen. So after bishop to c4, putting pressure on this f7 square, then d5 is forced from back. E takes d5, bishop to d6, and bishop to d6 is there for a reason. It's because it has to stop this pawn from advancing, right? Else black kind of dies. So that is what after d4, castles, and bishop takes f4. We have a very interesting position on the board right now. So, yeah. So now let's look at how black can counter this opening. Oh, and please remember, it is important to note that there may be a lot of variations for white. So basically, what I need you to do before I tell you what to do if you're black, your main goal in the King's Gambit is to try to regain this pawn. Get your pieces out quickly, and finally attack the king with your all your might. And with this rook too, once this castles, it will also be pointing at this. So try to make some weaknesses here. So now let's get started. What should you do when you're black? Let's look at it from black's perspective. Now, white has just played knight f3. Now a good way to counter this for black is to do, instead of g5 going into the main line, which is risky, not much people play it, but you can also do d6. Now I like this. This is called the Fisher's defense. Yeah, it was invented by Fisher, and I really like this because it stops this knight from ever going here. That is bad. Really bad for white. He doesn't get this mobility. He doesn't get what he wants, right? So what he needs to do is now, well, try to fight off with this. So try to fight off this square. So he's gonna play d4, preparing for this pawn break. After takes, and takes this beautiful outpost for the knight. It's not technically outpost, but it does give white the mobility he needs. So how does black avoid? Now there are a couple of options here. And d4 is not the only move that black has to do. What black can do is after d4, right? After d4, he can do g5, and this is the Fisher's defense. And now we are protecting our pawn, right? Because after this, oopsie doopsie, we kind of hang this pawn. So basically, that's on the king. We're gonna go inside, right? Because that's where all the safe pieces. That's where all the pieces are. That's where we're gonna get ourselves safe. And yeah. So after g5, h4. Now trying to break. Then we do g4, Now, if you did h6, that's of the queen's gambit, but on the wrong side. After this, and then this, yeah, wrong side rook taking. But yeah, this is, so after knight g1, which is the only move, frankly, because if he tries to do here, then I think you forgot. We can trap you with either f6 or h6, and I do f6 because I'll get x. Oh, lose the rook. Okay, so do the pawn. Don't blunder a winning advantage, please. Okay. He can't know that he can also do this, but this literally kills the purpose of the king's gambit. So, yeah. Queen to f6. Yeah, we're starting to put some pressure on this pawn. What we should do is kind of like this, and this after that. What we can do is get this beautiful outpost for ourselves, get a winning initiative, seal the deal, get in every piece, and White's gambit. So, after 7, knight to c3, safeguarding the square for some reason, and he wants to go here, get this queen out of this super place. 97 anyways. 97. Now, what are we doing here? Well, what we're doing here is, after knight to e7, oh no, he's putting pressure on me. But this isn't here. The bishop is still there. The bishop has his success port. Bishop to h6. And after queen to d2, bishop to d7, knight b to c6. After g3. After g3, it's an idea to take. Why has that a piece? Right? If you take, that does hang a piece. So just need to point that out. But, so what should you do? Well, you ignore it completely. You ignore the fact that your pawn is being attacked. You knight b to c6, which was just played. Knight b to c6. Okay. And after knight to b to c6, g takes f4. And you ignore that also. And castles. Now, this position is a very comfortable position for black, and black has more chances. Only 30% of the white players have won this game. 45% of black players have won this game. So, it's a good idea to play the Fisher's defense. Now, instead of the d4, do not forget about our bishop. Our friend named the bishop. Bishop to c4. Now, what do you do here? Well, what is he even trying to do? Well, he had just followed my direction. Boom, 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 boom. That f7, weak spot, hit that, win the lottery, win the game. Okay. Now, why are we doing this? Well, because we need to close off this access port to f7, else he's gonna give that pawn out, win the lottery, and win the game. So, that's why we h6. Now, you can do d4 now. Now, this does kind of look like a weird game. And there's another purpose to h6. It's because we need to do. So, g5. Castles. Okay, closed. And bishop d7. Good. And c3. So far, so right? Standard stuff. knight to c6, standard development. Not gonna this because that is just a weakness. And now an interesting move comes. G3. Now what is he trying to do? Actually, you have a good question. What is White trying to do? He's trying to break up. He's trying to regain his pawn. I think White really needs to regain his pawn, even though his king is weak. But then again, he can just squirm his way out of nonsense. But we don't allow this. We play the interesting line. Bishop h3! Yay! And this kind of seals the deal. So if he tries to move the rook away, right? Or if he does that, then what happens? This is terrible. Ooh. Now, White's king is destroyed. And after queen to d7, yeah, White is not so safe after all. He cannot squirm out of the nonsense. So you can your king can never squirm out of trouble. Just kidding, it can, but I did it for entertaining purposes. Okay, but it is better. It is actually better. Instead of doing that rook, the rook, it's better to do the exchange sacrifice because of that idea. Yeah, it's so feared, rather give it up. Queen takes f1, queen to e7, e5, castles, long castles. And this is just plain winning for black. This is just plain winning for black. So, few tips you want to keep in mind when you're playing the King's Gambit Accepted with black side. What you want to do is you want to defend your after this knight 3. What you want to do is cleverly defend this pawn. Castle queen side, always bring it out and try to sweep away his king with this of moving his king side as immediately as you can. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.